I'm a Canadian and my name's Greg. We're in downtown Toronto, right outside the Rogers Sportsnet office. There's people protesting cherries, Don Cherries, firing. I'm gonna find out why they're here today. Come on, let's go find out. Do you mind if I film you for YouTube? So I just found Sam here. Sam, tell me why you're out here today.
I'm out here to support Don and show that he wasn't doing anything wrong. He was actually not being racist at all, and he's just supporting the troops. People just want to think that he said something racist, but it wasn't. Like I'm brown, and I don't think he was racist at all. Like I'm an immigrant. I don't think he's racist.
What does Don Cherry mean to you?
He makes me want to go on Hockey Night in Canada and watch it every Saturday night. Yeah. He's an icon. He's out there for everybody. So far, I've heard like a lot of support for Don. It's just like a silent minority that's always like online complaining about it. That's the only like backlash.
A loud, very loud minority.
Yeah, a very loud minority complaining about what Don said.
I would definitely argue a lot of that minority unfortunately works in the media. Anything else you want to say in terms of like what you love about Canada? Do you love the milk and the honey?
Yeah, I actually moved here in 2011, so like I love Canada. I want to support it. I support everything here, and I want to join the forces eventually.
Good for you. Good for you, man. Thanks a lot.
Thank
awesome.
you.
Thanks a lot. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share. Sir.
Hey, bud.
Good to meet you. So I'm joined here with
Martin Brousseau.
And what brings you out here today?
So I've never watched hockey. I've been to a hockey game once, honest to God. My sport is jumping out of planes for fun. That's what I like to do. So I joined the military 24 years ago.
Yeah.
And I've always known Don Cherry was a big veteran supporter and soldier supporter and all this. And
like, what does Don mean to you? Would you say, in terms? Because I really feel he's a staple of the program, a staple of Canada, really, in terms of Canadian pride.
Pardon me, I think he's to me he's a mascot to the military.
Yeah. Absolutely. I've been reading online. I didn't know he went to Afghanistan during Christmas, and apparently they were like under fire, and he was still like, no, I'm gonna stay here, I'm gonna hang out, and I'm gonna find all the troops and eat their shitty meals, and chill with the boys, which is incredible. Yeah. Well, man, thanks so much for coming out.
A couple $100 bucks.
What brings you out here today?
Oh, well, I believe in freedom of speech, and I have a thick skin, so I don't get offended by words.
Yeah, let's explain your sign. No cherry, cancel your Rogers cable.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts and feelings on the people that are upset? Like, do you have some sympathy for maybe it was phrased incorrectly, or like,
no, I don't have any sympathy, because it's just generalizing. You people means generalizing. It's not specifically.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. People say it's a specific group, and it's like, no, you people who weren't wearing poppies. That was my understanding. Yeah. But and I gotta ask, do you love the milk and the honey?
Yeah, I do. Why not?
Let me get a shot of that sign.
Yeah.
So you helped kind of organize this protest?
Yeah, I did. The idea sold itself. When you get good, loving people and promoting unity and stuff like this, it falls together by itself.
What does Don Cherry mean to you?
Don Cherry to me means a lot about Canadian identity and free speech, in the sense that Don Cherry coming off the air is the end of an era in Canadian broadcasting. I mentioned that he was a voice that, regardless if you agreed with him or not, was talked about at home, talked about at work. He got people talking. Which is the point here, is that you don't always have to agree with what's going on, but the intellectual discourse helps bring us to a better place than sitting here divided.
I mean, we are all talking about it.
Yeah.
And I wish we would be talking more about our veterans.
Yes, I agree.
It seems to be hijacked about like this whole like race discussion now.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on the people that are upset and they're saying, he should be fired?
I think that, I really don't have sympathy, in my personal opinion, for the people who, you know, are okay with him being fired, because I think that that's just cancel culture and not what free speech is. You know, I just want to add that this is an example to people that stuff like this can be done and that your voice can be heard. The way things are set up now, that the people like us are so voiceless in a sea of biased media, and what we've done here today is really show the rest of the country that this can be done.
Is that JD Meaney?
It is. What's going on?
This is JD Meaney, PPC candidate for Oakville.
That's right. How's it going, everyone?
What brings you out here today?
What brings me out here today? Well, first of all, I have a burning heart for patriotism, and I'm standing up for Don Cherry because I don't think he said anything wrong. He was standing up for veterans. That man has been standing up for veterans for what, maybe like 40 years or something? So the way how I see this is that this is an attack on a strong supporter of veterans, which is pretty much an attack on veterans at that point. So, you know, if he's doing a lot of good work, they can't fire him for saying, hey, I think Canadians need to be wearing their poppies more often. He mentioned immigrants. Sure, we need to be encouraging new immigrants to be wearing poppies as well too. And basically, you know, maybe even going to wreath laying ceremonies, that kind of stuff. So,
what does Don Cherry mean to you?
I think he's a Canadian icon. He's a household name. And yeah, I would just like to thank him personally for all the work he's done for Canada for the many years. So yeah, that's what he means to me there. So
okay, let's get a bit into the weeds here. I mean, in terms of the actual comments that he made,
yeah,
some people are very upset and saying, yeah, he should be fired. How would you respond to somebody who holds that opinion?
So here is what I think about that. I'm going to ask two very simple questions. If what he said was racist, as they said it, which racial group was he targeting, and what was the racial term that he used? If they can't answer that question, then I think that his firing is illegitimate. If it's about ratings, then they could have done it more appropriately and not do it on Remembrance Day the way they did.
I personally think that the media is a little biased. I've made videos about it, but I mean, how poetic is it that like the one Canadian broadcaster who is so vocal about our veterans gets canned on Remembrance Day of all days, and for what? For standing up for veterans? They're saying, hey, you people should wear poppies. Exactly. And then now, boom, he gets canned.
I think it always ties back to cancel culture, freedom of speech, shifting Canadian values away. It's part of the bigger picture. So that's what I think it boils down to now. So.
Absolutely. Anything else you want to add?
Love you, Canada. Love you, Oakville. Toronto. You all right? No, I'm kidding. You guys are great too. So. And thank you to Greg here, so yeah.
Yeah,
cheers.
Awesome. Thanks, man. All right, I'm here with Daemon. I'm gonna link to your YouTube channel as well.
Daemon Noir Show.
Yeah, what brings you out today, man?
Well, I'm here today to support Don Cherry and to go against this cancel culture that we have going on. I don't think somebody should be fired for something that could be ambiguous, because people are actually going left and right on what he said or what he could have possibly said, but Don Cherry said what he said. He literally meant what he meant, and I concur and I support that, because when I go out and walk the streets of Toronto, I don't see a lot of Canadians, old or new, representing the poppy. I don't see a lot of people, you know, showing the same support that they did probably when I was a child. You know, like I remember my childhood when people used to sing "Oh Canada." Canada used to have like a culture, a unity amongst Canadians. Now it's like we're so divisive amongst race and religion that you know, it's just crazy. So I'm out here to stand with Don Cherry. Me being what people call a visible minority. I don't like that word. I don't like POC. I'm just a Canadian. But yeah,
true.
I'm here for Don Cherry.
What does Don Cherry mean to you?
Well, since I was a kid, I liked hockey, but you know, Don Cherry made me like hockey a bit more with the banter, and you know, it made me like it. It made me more engaged into the game, watching the game. Because as a kid, I liked playing it more than watching. But
same here, yeah.
You know, as I got older, right? Yeah, he made it more exciting. So
I don't think anything he said was wrong either, and I'm really like disturbed of how it turned into a race thing. So people are upset and they're saying, you know, it's a race thing and it's justified. What are your thoughts on the people who are upset, who hold that opinion like, I think he should be fired, Like, what would you say to those people who hold that opinion?
Well, I'd like to ask them what race in particular was offended, because last I checked, immigrants come from all walks of life, all religions, all backgrounds. You could be an Asian immigrant, a European immigrant, an African immigrant, or a South American. Like, we come from all over the world. So I don't think we should necessarily pinpoint it and make it about race. I think we should be making it about ideas. We're combating ideas. The ideas that we're combating are in support or not in support of Canadian values. So if you're in support of Canadian values and you believe that men and women are equal, you believe that people should have the freedom to express themselves the way they choose to express themselves, if you believe that races and religions should coexist peacefully, then those are Canadian values, and those are the same kind of values that our veterans fight for. Those are the same values that our veterans fight every day and put their lives on the line to protect us. So when Don Cherry is saying that, and people can pick that up and turn it into something racist and politicize it, it's beyond me.
Daemon Noir show, right?
Yeah, Daemon Noir show.
All right. Link in the description, folks. Link in the description. Check out Daemon. Ran into a gentleman who just lives across the street.
Well, I've been following it on TV, and I understand where he's coming from, and I do believe in free speech. I absolutely do, but I think the way he worded it was very wrong, because it really sounded like he was just directing it to newcomers or immigrants only. He did change his tune. I know, I saw that on CTV where he just changed it to everybody.
Right.
But there's a big difference between you newcomers coming here and then changing it to everybody. So that's a big difference to me.
And go ahead, sorry.
But in all due respect, I think that the government has let the newcomers down. The government has let them down, because when they come into this country, all they have to do really is pass this test and name the provinces and the territories, and it's a very simple test, which should be done also. But they should also, I think newcomers should go to the government should be providing a class where they provide information, just simple stuff. Like, Canadians are very friendly people. Like, they say please and thank you a lot. They're very respectful that way. There's so much information that newcomers should have over and above what they do when they pass the test to be a Canadian citizen. The newcomers need a lot more information when they come to Canada, that's all.
And do you think he did deserve to get fired?
I think that should have been discussed more. I don't think they should have fired him right off the bat, but I think it should have been discussed more.
Thanks so much for your time.
Great, thank you.
We are here with Nicholas Serdiuk, PPC candidate for Etobicoke Centre. What does Don Cherry mean to you?
When I was growing up, he was one of the standard bearers of our culture. It's what everybody talked about at school on Monday morning, and it's really sad that things have gotten to a point where you can't even show support for our veterans without the politically correct manufactured outrage mob attacking you.
For somebody who's saying he should be fired and saying it's racist, like, how would you respond to somebody who holds that opinion?
I mean, I'm looking at his comments where he referred to newcomers to Canada and also those who are already here but don't wear the poppy for whatever reason. The way I look at it is he needed to be blunt in a way, just to get people to wake up to, the reality that's going on in our culture and in our society. And I don't see where he singled out any identifiable group whatsoever in any of his comments. So all of this inference about what he supposedly meant is coming from, a highly partisan, far left perspective that is not in accordance with the majority opinion of Canadians.
This is Tyler Russell, the Tyler Russell. He's going to give me an update of what I missed because I showed up a little late to this protest.
Yes, okay. So earlier on in the protest, we had a specific character come through. And at first, we thought that he was an Antifa guy. He's causing trouble, kind of like rubbing up against people, like pushing into people. It turns out that he was actually a neo-Nazi. So we fucking kicked him out. And I saw some cops show up here earlier. I think that they came because they got some reports about like the commotion or something. But yeah, we kicked him out because, you know, that's not what this is about. You know, we're here for Don Cherry. We're not here to entertain these fucking freaks, you know? So
Why did you come out today?
I came out because, you know, Don Cherry, he did nothing wrong. Okay? Don Cherry has a history of speaking his mind, has a history of speaking the truth. You know, he tells it as it is, and that shouldn't be a bad thing. He shouldn't be canceled for doing that. In Canada, we have a problem with, you know, like respecting our veterans, with like standing up for all of our veterans' rights and stuff. And I definitely want to see more Canadians come out in support of this. You know, we had a pretty good turnout today, but we got to keep this pressure up because it's not right what happened to Don. You know, we got to stand up for a true patriotic Canadian like Don Cherry. I think that this kind of thing is going to red pill the masses as well. So to me, Don Cherry, he's a Canadian icon. You know, like I grew up playing hockey. I grew up watching him every Saturday. You know, so. He is literally a piece of Canadian history, and you know, the far left, the media, they've tried to stomp all over that and kind of left all of us true Canadians, us like actual Canadians, just left in the dust. You know, they're trying to rewrite Canadian history into some kind of non-Canadian thing. You know, and it's just not right.
The left or whomever, the journalists, they're all saying, oh, what he said, it's all about race. You know, we're not going to talk about veterans. We're not going to talk about how he suggested people wear the poppy. They've made it about race. And people are like, yeah, he should be fired because race things. Like, for somebody who holds that opinion, what would you say to somebody who holds that opinion?
They're just straight up wrong. Like saying you people, that has no racial connotation to it at all. You people is just everybody. Anybody who's, you know, not standing up for our veterans, yeah, you people should get fucked. Like, get out of here, man. Like, this is Canada. We stand up for the people who fought for us, you know? We don't just let them be pushed to the wayside. We stand up for them.
There you have it. Anything else you want to add?
Free the Don. Let's get him back. Let's get him back on Saturday night, you know?
Free the Don!
Free the Don!
Free the Don! Yeah! Ron McLean is a traitor.
Traitor, yeah. He threw him under the bus. And the whole time he was giving him a thumbs up, good job. And the next day, he threw him under the bus, you know? And if it wasn't for Mr. Cherry, he would have been fired himself and may even be working as a desk job. The mainstream media made the day all about Don Cherry's when it's the day is supposed to be to remember our veterans and those serving. You know? I am Canadian, a friend of the USA as well, right? So you got to remember our veterans of those that serve.
What are your thoughts on his firing in general?
He's been doing it for 38 years. He's an 85-year-old man. People don't realize he's wealthy enough. He's a millionaire. He's not in it for the money. We want him back not for the money, but we want him back for just being on TV, right? Because he's a legend. He's a Canadian patriot, right?
And do you think like this firing of Don Cherry represents anything? Like, is it like what are your final thoughts on this?
I don't think he'll be back, but it's worth a shot. You know what I mean? It's if we don't take a stance now, you know, then what's next? You know, what's next going to come? It's going to be a socialist country, and then soon it's going to become a communist country, and those that never lived in a communist country, they don't know what it's like. And if we don't fix what's going on now in our country, and we don't stand up for what we believe in, then Canada could become the next Venezuela. It only took 15 years for Venezuela to become what it is, you know.
Thanks a lot, man.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Yeah. Have a wonderful day, guys.
Yeah, you too. Here with Rick Boswick of Facts versus Feelings. He's down here at the Don Cherry protest. What brings you out today, Rick?
Well, tyranny and oppression, the policing of speech and thought, and just everything that we've been dealing with for year after year. It's escalated to the point of insanity, and you know, this is a perfect example of the thought police, the outrage mob going after one of Canadians' icons, which is Mr. Cherry. Everybody knows the kind of man he is. He's a no-nonsense guy. He's abrasive, but you can change the channel. Like, learn to expect that. You know, it's his purview. It's his, you know, it's what he does. It's as if someone were to go after Howard Stern, you know, for being too shocking. Well, he's a shock jock, right? Big surprise. So, yeah, I'm coming down to show my support and document. That's what I do.
For people who think he should have gotten fired, or who are upset with what he said? What would you say to the people, to those people who have that opinion?
I think that people are too easy to jump to conclusions and to find fault in nebulous speech. I mean, he said "you people" or "people." Yeah, didn't he say "those people" or "people"? You know,
yeah.
That could just mean unpatriotic people. I don't think he said anything wrong, and I think that this is a big exaggeration, and it's one more example of the government telling people it doesn't matter who you are, how respected you are, what you've done with cancer causes that he's done, with the military that he's done. You could be a pope, a saint, and you step out of line with us and we're gonna destroy your life.
In your experience, or from your perspective, is this part of a larger trend?
Well, it's a climate of fear, obviously, fear and consumption. The new boogeyman, it was the Russians in the 80s, and then it was Al-Qaeda and ISIS last, you know, during 9/11, about 10 years later. Now it is homegrown white supremacy. And that's the narrative that's been pushed. That's the $595 million in subsidies on top of the 1.3 that outlets like CBC get to tote the party line, to tote the globalist United Nations policy line, and to, it's even in the legislation. If you read the actual literature of the UN Migration Pact, it says to favor and bolster media that is favorable to the agenda, and to demonize and defund anything that goes against it. So criticism is now becoming illegal in Canada.
Yeah, the non-binding act actually mentioned something about trying to eliminate all criticism of immigration, and in many ways that's exactly what we saw.
That's what we're seeing. We're seeing it manifest, and unfortunately Don Cherry is the latest victim of this.
Anything else you want to add?
No, I mean, I think it's going to change. Obviously, without Don doing Hockey Night in Canada, it's not going to be as entertaining. I don't know. I mean, what do you expect, really? It's going to be the flavor of the day, and then it's going to go away in a couple days, because after the pile of evidence for 4 years, we still have Trudeau. So people aren't that upset about all of the scandals. And I'd have to finish with Epstein didn't kill himself.
Thanks, man. Thanks a lot. Take care.
Everybody has the right to thought.
Yeah.
And everybody has the right to speak. Yeah. And so I think that's pretty important.
There you have it, folks. The people love the milk and the honey. They love Don Cherry, and they love Canada. I don't know what to say other than that. Anyway, I'm Greg, I'm a Canadian, and we'll talk to you soon.